Another edition of Social Media News Live. So excited that you're here. I know last week I said we weren't going to do a show this week, but I just didn't want to go that long without talking to our amazing community and my pal Ian Anderson Gray. He's not doing anything either. We're old. We don't, we're not out partying. What time is it there? Is it like 7, 8, or 5?
No, it's 4 p.m. It's the afternoon.
Yeah, it's not. You've had your spot.
The
of
night it's not even night. I can't say the night is yet young. The afternoon is
still nigh.
It's getting a little bit old, maybe.
It's still nigh. So yeah, but we're going to be talking all about live video, some new trends, some stuff that happened in this past year, and then coming into the new year, some things that we see happening. So I think it's going to be a fabulous program. It's my friend Jim Alt is here. He says, Happy New Year from Ohio. Jim, it's good to see you again. I hope you have a great new year as well. So thank you for tuning in today. So we're going to be talking about live video. It's going to be a lot of fun. Ian, so here's the thing. Have you had tea? When is tea time in the UK? Because I remember when we were at Janet Murray's event, we'd have tea time, and we get some, cookies or biscuits, as you call them. And that was, is there a national tea time? Because I don't know. I am so uncultured.
You're kind of asking a complicated question, because it depends what you mean by tea. I mean, is it breakfast, lunch, dinner, breakfast, dinner, tea? Is tea like just tea and biscuits? Like, what are we talking about here? Evening meal?
Well, I mean, is there certain break times during the day where you stop and have tea? Like, because they say time for tea. I mean, is there a certain at 3 p.m.?
Well, yeah, because like in the north of England where I live, your evening meal you call tea. But if you're having like a break, maybe like 11 o'clock you might have like a morning tea, and then maybe 2 or 3 o'clock you might have afternoon tea.
Okay. Well, I didn't know if there's like a certain, like the bell tolls and you all like stop what you're doing and have tea. I don't know how that works. So
if you're the queen,
if you're the queen, yes. Well, that was fun. We did have a good time when we were in London. I can't wait till we can do that again. So some other friends are chiming in today. Happy New Year from Cape Cod. That's awesome. Nelda, thank you for tuning in today over on Facebook. And our friend Gary Stockton, Happy New Year from Huntington Beach. Gary, I've been really enjoying. Gary, if you didn't know, Ian, is a musician too. He's been sharing some reels over on IG that I was super impressed with. He was even singing on it. You need to check it out because it was really impressive. Makes my music skills look pretty pathetic. But Gary,
say that.
Yeah, tea equals supper. See, I learn something every time I go live. Yeah. It's amazing.
Supper's like you have that like at 10 o'clock at night. That's like a kind of although my friend who lives in the south of England calls their dinner, their evening meal, supper. Yeah. So it's like all over the place.
Awesome. Well, we got all sorts of people tuning in. We got Katie saying Happy New Year. Good to see you, Katie. And that's right, Sabrina is here. She goes, it's me. It's your favorite, Sabrina. So she's changed it a little bit to it's me, your favorite. So yes, Sabrina, you are one of my favorites. Thank you once again for tuning in. And Rhonda, it is so good to see you here. Happy New Year to you as well. We need to do a call soon and chat. So all sorts of people tuning in today. We got Mark from Northumberland, yes, that's very, very cool. All these great people tuning in today. I thought no one would show up there all partying, but look at this. Our community is showing up. Everybody is telling me that tea is stuff with dinner. So see, I'm just learning new things all the time. So we are going to hit go live over on Amazon. We're going to hit go on the old podcast machine, and we will get started. So make sure you guys, sprinkle the love across the interwebs, if you would, and call in your friends, because we're going to have a good time. I want to know what you guys think about live video, what's going to be happening in 2022. So we'll be talking about that. So let me hit the button and we'll get started. Hello, folks. Welcome to Social Media News Live. I'm Jeff C., and you're not. And this is the show where we keep you up to date on what's happening in the world of social media. This show is always brought to you by my friends over at Ecamm. And you can find more about them at socialmedianewslive.com/Ecamm. It's what we use to produce this show. I do it for all my clients. It is an amazing program. We're going to talk a little bit more about some of the cool stuff they have done this year a little bit later in the show. But make sure you guys check them out at socialmedianewslive.com/Ecamm. And I'm here once again with one of my favorite guys in the whole world. I wish we didn't have all this water in between us, but today I'm joined by my pal, Ian Anderson Gray, and we're going to be talking all about live video for 2022. It's so hard to say. I can't even say it. If you don't know who Ian is, he is the founder of the Confident Live Marketing Academy and is the host of the Confident Live Marketing Podcast. He helps entrepreneurs to level up their impact, authority, and profits by using live video confidently. He's the founder of Serious Social, a blog focused on live video and social media tools. He's an international speaker, trainer, teacher, and consultant. He has the passion for making the techno babble of live video and social media marketing easy to understand. He's also a geek, a husband, dad to 2 kids, and he's also, if you didn't know this, a professional singer and lives near Manchester in the UK. Ian, welcome to the show.
Oh, it's great to be here, Jeff. As you quite rightly said, that water in between us is annoying. But hopefully in 2022, we will meet.
That's
in person.
right.
I'm hoping it's going to happen.
I'm hoping it's, I want to see you again, my friend. It'd be great to hang out once again. But if you guys have, I mentioned that Ian is a singer. You got to check out his reels and his. Are you on TikTok or is it just reels, Ian?
I do. I kind of reluctantly do TikTok.
Right.
but yeah, reels on TikTok.
Yeah. So his stuff that he does over there is funny. He's using his musical talent. They're quirky. They're cool. If you haven't watched them, you got to go check them out because they're really, really cool. So anyway, so we are going to be talking today all about live video. So let's talk about some live video trends that we saw come up on during this past year. So I'm going to give you guys some stats, and I pulled this from our friends over at Restream. They've got a great article about this, but they've got some really cool data that they pulled together. So first one, viewer habits are changing, and traditional television is still declining in popularity, and it's done this for the last couple of years. But the average time that adults 18 and older spend on live and what we call time shifting, DVR, saving this stuff on your hard drive, it's decreased by 13% between the quarter 3 of 2018 and quarter 3 of 2020. So it's really starting to decline. And in fact, it's really funny. I was talking to my dad, who is in his 70s, I think, and he was telling me, because I had set him up for Netflix and Hulu and all that stuff so he can watch it. He's not watching that stuff anymore. He's watching YouTube more than anything else, which I think is really funny for the older demographics. He's watching like wood carving videos and stuff on how to do things on YouTube. So really interesting. And of the 5 hours and 21 minutes, that's what the average adult spends watching video each day. We need to go outside, folks. Anyway, 29% is spent watching TV connected to devices like the video on a computer or video focused apps or on the smartphone or a tablet. And, I mentioned my dad, but younger people still aren't watching traditional TV as much. They've got a drop for live and time shifted TV about 23% among 18 to 34-year-olds year over year. And although the 35 to 49-year-olds watch double the amount of TV as 18 to 34-year-olds, once again, we need to go outside, it's been decreasing. So it blows my mind that people watch an average of 18 hours of online video per week. And that's an increase of 2 hours per week year over year. So the daily average is 100 minutes. That just blows my mind. So that's 25 continuous days of video a year. We're watching 25 days of video a year. My gosh. Anyway, so Ian, I want to know what you think of these stats because we're talking about live video, and the last stat I want to share with you about this, when you compare online video, which is video on demand, and live video, live content generates 27% more minutes of watch time. So that's why you and I are always bullish on live video, because people watch it. So when you see all these stats and hear all this stuff, does it excite you or does it depress you? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, a bit of both, really. Like, I love this comment from, I don't know who it is. It's from a Facebook group. So it says, Facebook user, go outside and listen to a podcast.
It's probably a podcaster. Yeah.
And so that, in a sense, that's kind of the depressing part. I do believe, like, if we're spending so much time in front of our devices that we lose track of reality. And then that kind of brings us on to Mark Zuckerberg's whole metaverse thing, which we can talk about later. But I do think this is like a really exciting opportunity for us business owners, for us marketers. I've not used traditional TV for about 17 years, so I still find it I'm flabbergasted by how many people are still watching traditional TV and are bound to the schedule. So all of this slow moving over to watching YouTube and whether it's TikTok or Reels or whatever it is, or I think this is only going to get the speed of this transition is only going to get more and more. And I think this is exciting because, yes, it is a crowded space. I think those of us who are producing video content find it hard to get our voices heard. And there is so much stuff out there, but there is a growing demographic. Older people are starting to watch more YouTube. And this, we talk about the younger generations and TikTok and all that kind of stuff a lot, and quite rightly. But I think we're going to see a lot more of the older generations embracing podcasts and videos and all this kind of content. And that excites me because there's just more opportunity for us to grow our communities and grow our audience as we move into 2022. So I don't know what you think about that, Jeff, but that excites me.
So one of the things is, I want to bring up that comment, go outside and listen to a podcast. And the person said who that was. That was my comment. It was Lou Mangello. He's watching. See, Lou, what you do when you watch live video, you like that page, and that way your avatar shows up. I didn't know if you knew that about live video, but that's what happens. No, Lou, the funny thing, because we were talking about community, and I was actually talking about this. We were talking about how long live video works, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But I was telling Ian, I'll sit there for an hour and a half or however. Lou does a show on Wednesday that I've watched for a long time, and it's great. It's community. It's all about community. And I think that is the point. And I think that's why we go back to this demographic of, you were saying that a lot more people are watching live video and YouTube video because there's a community aspect to it. So I think that is huge. And that's what Lou does so well, is you'd think this guy in his office that has Disney stuff surrounded and Marvel stuff surrounding him, he wouldn't be able to hold an audience for an hour and a half, but he does, because he brings in the community and he does it so well. So kudos to you, Lou. Thank you. And Lou's been on the show before. If you ever want to go see some of his episodes, you can go to Social Media News Live's YouTube channel and go see that. But I really think, like, you're spot on, Ian, that more and more people are watching. The older demographic are discovering it because it's easier now than ever because of the smart TVs. Like, Dad doesn't have to go and get in YouTube and figure out. It's already preloaded. He just has an account. I set it up for him, and he can just search to his heart's content and watch the videos that interest him. So I think that's really, really interesting. So Gary says he's been watching a lot more YouTube video on my TV versus regular shows because of the algorithm so good at picking videos that he really likes. So I think that is super important as well, because they want to keep you on that site just like TikTok does. And so that algorithm is pretty smart. And Jim says, as Gary said, the key is the sophistication of the algorithms that reinforce our preferences and the silos that do that. So let's see what is. I'm reading all these comments that are going crazy. So anyway, the other thing I want to talk about is we're once again kind of locked in our rooms this past year. And I think that has made a difference on people's viewing habits for sure. There's Twitch had a huge bump. That's the gaming platform. More people are watching live video. But I have noticed that it is easier when I bring guests on, especially new guests that haven't been on a show before. They've already pretty much got it figured out. I'm not having the, I used to have a day where I'd have to come before and we'll get all your tech set up because they were real nervous about being on video. Now, I think more people than ever before even grandma had to learn to FaceTime because she couldn't, go see the kids or whatever. I think more people are becoming more comfortable with live video, and you're the confident live coach. So what do you think about that? Do you think that's made a difference, Ian?
Oh, it's big time. I mean, it's the social networks live on these platforms like Twitch, you're mentioning, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Instagram Live. They have exploded, and the live video tools like Ecamm Live, Restream, StreamYard, they have exploded with the number of new customers they've had over the last year. And it's because there are all these people that have wanted to embrace live video. They've seen you and me and other people out there talk about how amazing live video is, but it's just been too scary. The technology has been too scary for them, or just getting in front of the camera, and they're worried about being judged or looking like an idiot or whatever it is. But when the pandemic came, they had no choice but to embrace it. They had to jump in the deep end. They saw other people doing it, and so they just embraced it. And that's been amazing. And I'm glad you've seen that with guests on the show, on your show. I've seen the same as well. It's just so much easier. You don't have to spend all this time saying it's okay, don't worry, and checking the tech, and everything's been great from that point of view. So I think that's great, and it's a bigger opportunity for all those people who were worried about embracing live video, but now are embracing it. And I think that's only going to get better as people gain more and more confidence over the next year.
Yeah, totally agree. So Gary has a great point too. I want to pull up. He says the platforms have improved a lot too. We used to fiddle with Skype and Wirecast. Oh, I remember those days, Gary. And now we have Ecamm and Restream to make better productions. And we're going to be talking about that in the next section. But yes, that is huge. The other thing is I want to talk about is the rise of live video shopping in the U.S. because I think that's another big thing that happened this past year. It had been going on in China. I mean, there's a record of somebody sold like $10 million worth of merchandise on one of her shows over in China, I believe. And now with the rise of Amazon Live, which we are there right now. And I want to do a shout out to Corinder is there, and also Randall. He always shows up over there on Amazon Live. They're watching over there. So I think this is huge. And I see these other platforms, so like Pinterest and Instagram and all these competing networks are going to get into this live shopping thing that's been going on. So I think that's going to be huge. I know you've kind of played with it as well. We go there every week when we do our show as a destination because we find value in there, and people are checking out the equipment we're using. Like you and I both are using the Heil PR40. They can see it on the screen, and it's there right below us in the carousel. If you're over on Amazon Line, you can check that out and purchase it. I mean, it's just very, very cool how easy now these tools are, and they're only going to get better. I think in this next year, one of the things that really stinks right now, I'm running it on because you have to start it and then run it on your phone, or I'm using an iPad. I can't pull comments over into Ecamm like I can do with all the other channels, which I think in this next year we will see more integration and the API open up a little bit on that. But it's huge. I mean, this live shopping thing is not going away. And I think if you have a product that you have got to look at this and consider live video, because you're going to be left in the dust if you're not. Thoughts, Ian?
Oh yeah, totally. Like Amazon is definitely something that I'm going to be investing a lot in Q1 next year. I have seen so much potential with it, and it's. I know a lot of people are making a good deal of money from it. As if you've got a show and you've got stuff that you want to talk about, for example, I mean, I could just like hold this up here, which is another microphone which I haven't opened, a Q9U, and talk about that. Yeah, this is all ready for like next year when I'm going to be doing a lot more Amazon Live. But it's not just Amazon. I mean, YouTube have talked about this. They've got live shopping, Facebook, I think Instagram. I haven't heard anything from LinkedIn. Obviously, LinkedIn is a completely different platform, but this is the biggie for 2022. I know we'll probably talk about predictions later, but this is the big thing for next year. In 2021, Amazon Live has started to become more and more popular. But it's all the platforms are embracing it, and I think this is going to happen with the likes of Netflix and Prime Video, because you're going to watch a movie, and you like the dress or the laptop or whatever it is, some object that's on there, and you'll be able to pause it and then click on it and be able to purchase it. I mean, that we haven't got that yet, but I think that's going to happen in the next couple of years.
Oh, I didn't think about that, but I totally agree, because that's going to be, we already have product placement. You'll see, well, why is that Chevy truck driving through their living room right now
Yeah.
because they're, it's these product placement things. But I think you're right. That will be integrated into shopping, will be integrated into everything. Jim has a good point over on YouTube. He says that live video equals no video editing plus uploading codec hassles. I think that's one of the things that's so appealing about shopping is you can start your camera and you can talk. And it's really, if you've watched any of the Amazon Live, some of the big ones, it's not, sometimes there are super produced ones, but there's also guys in their living room opening stuff up and talking about it and giving some tips, and they are making big time sales. The same thing, Facebook is having that as well. So I just really think that, I think this is Lou again. He says, as bad as COVID has been, it has forced people of all ages to embrace live video platforms, which shopping, now I could do a QVC show now with the power of Ecamm and all the other stuff that I can do. I just think it's really, really amazing how, we can do all this stuff. So
it is amazing. And I think that's so true. Who was saying that about, I can't remember. He was talking about, not editing, not having to edit. And I think that's so true because if you are a recovering perfectionist like me and like many people, you're trying with, regular pre-recorded videos, you're trying to edit it to death. And with live video, you can't do that. This is not going to be perfect. I have already stumbled over my words today. Does it matter? No, it does not, because this is content that we're creating. Hopefully it's really valuable to you. And this is not only a live video, this will become pre-recorded video for the replay in a sense. And it's also a podcast as well. And so, Jeff, you're able to create effectively not just 3 pieces of content, because you can then repurpose it into other types of things like video snippets as well. But it's just so powerful. And I love that side of things. So a big fan of that side of things.
So I want to know if you guys in the comments with this live shopping thing, because if I had to put everything out there of the biggest, news that happened last year or things that's a game changer last year, I would say live video shopping is the biggest one. They've kind of played with it for years. It was never really easy. Amazon is killing it. It's still kind of like the Wild West over there, but I know that these other platforms are looking at the viewers they're getting and the sales that they're getting over there. I mean, even with my sales, I'm just shocked about how much stuff that I actually sell for Amazon just by going live over there. And so that those other platforms want a piece of that, and they're desperately trying to figure this out and get it working. So I think that's the big news in 2022, and it's going to continue to go across there. And if you are a business selling a product or a service, I think you really need to really think about how you can integrate with some of these new platforms that are coming out. Amazon may not be the place for you, but look at Instagram. Is that going to be something where you can sell your merch on, you can sell your merch on YouTube? And I know Lou does that with his stuff. He has not only his show, but he's also got his t-shirts that people can buy to support him because they're a part of the community. So all of this stuff is going to mingle together. And I know it seems overwhelming, but you just take one piece at a time and kind of move forward. Like, okay, I'm going to try out YouTube. I'm going to try out some sales, see if I can sell some of my products there, and just don't try to do everything at once. Just take a piece at a time and move forward in 2022. So with that, I want to talk about our next section, which is some live tools and updates that happened in 2021. I'm going to screw up the dates so bad. I'm so bad at this. So Ian, there's some new tools that came out. In fact, one of my favorite tools that we're using right now, Ecamm, came out with a ton of new features that they're doing. They added supports for the profiles. The interview thing that they have now is really, really well, that I can invite you on. I had Chad on earlier. He's in the comments, and like Lou. I mean, all these people, and it's super easy to get people on screen with you and have a conversation like we're having now. They've done screen overlays. They actually made this interview. One of the big features is we can chat between each other. So if you had like more than one person, you could say, "Hey, you're going to get ready to be interviewed. We're going to bring you on in a second." So all this live producing stuff has, they've really boosted all the features that Ecamm has. So if you haven't tried them out yet, Oh my gosh, you need to. You can actually make TikTok videos with it because it lets you record in the vertical format. So it's not just for live video. It's for if you're doing a product demo with your software, you can use Ecamm, screen capture. You can, shoot videos for YouTube, all sorts of things in it. So it's not just for live video, presentations, all that stuff. So if you haven't checked them out, make sure you go to socialmedianewslive.com/Ecamm. But that was one of the big things, last year, their big update, which has done awesome features that I haven't even done my redesign yet. So I'm stoked. What about you?
Like other tools.
Yeah.
I mean, like Ecamm Live. I love what Ecamm Live have been doing. It's my main tool. I use it with Restream. But yeah, there's loads of other developments, and I know there are new tools that are coming out very soon as well in 2022. But in terms of ones that are already out and have added extra things, there's Restream have added Restream pairs, but they've also added the ability for green screen, if I can speak properly. So this is, if you're using their Restream Studio, you can now use a green screen to replace your background. StreamYard already has that, but they've added now business plans. And then there's also a cool tool called Vividcast, and this is from the guys at New Blue FX, and they do software like Title Alive. They do these really cool like animations or lower thirds that you can get on. Yeah, so you can look like you're a proper like TV station. And they've got this tool called Vividcast, and it's a live streaming tool, but it also has the ability to add those lower thirds and those graphics. It's all kind of built in a simpler version to the likes of Title Alive, which, to be quite honest, was, it's not for the faint-hearted. But Vividcast cool. Seems like that. I'm just keeping my eye out on that one because I think that's going to be exciting in 2022. It is. I'm getting confused with the dates too.
Sorry about that. So got some great comments here. This is something I did not see coming, but Chad says he purchases Ian Anderson Gray replica fat head that hangs over his guest toilet during his live shows. So I don't know if I have that on Amazon. I need to find it. But Randall, thank you for jumping over from Amazon. I'm sorry we can't pull up comments, but thank you for watching over on LinkedIn. Mark says, this is why I need to get my live show sorted for 2022. As a video editor, my own stuff never gets published if I have to edit it. I feel your pain, Mark. I'll tell you what has changed my life, and this is one of the big tools, I think, and I'm getting ready to put a course out about it, but it's called Descript. And I was a video editor. That's how I started, Mark, and I feel your pain. Descript lets me edit things and chop them up and do things so quickly. I use it for my show. I use it for all my client shows. I use it for Guy Kawasaki's Remarkable People podcast and his live show. So I use it for repurposing. It is an amazing tool. If you haven't checked it out, you need to check out Descript because that is the game changer that has changed my workflow. The really cool thing about Ecamm is that when I'm done, I have my video file that's automatically saved to my hard drive, and also my three, if I usually have three guests because Grace is usually on here, and I usually have 3 audio files, and I just dump those into Audition or whatever, and I can edit them really quickly, or I upload this to Descript and do it that way. So Ecamm automatically does that for you. So very cool. Check out Descript if you haven't yet, because that was a game changer for me. Also, I want to talk about the other thing that happened that I thought was for the type of show that I do and Ian does. A lot of times we have guests on our show, and it's this new thing by Restream. And I know Lou has been on my show before, and we've used that. It allows your guests to use Restream, put in all their social channels, and it automatically goes out to all of their stuff as well. And I can pull comments, but they don't have to give me the password or any of this weird authorization stuff. They just go in, like for Ian for the show, I sent him a link. He went in and added all his social channels, and he was done. And then when I went live, it automatically went live to not only all my pages and social networks, but it went live to the ones that he authorized as well. So, oh my gosh, you talk about taking your audience and being able to put yourself in front of new people. So if you have guests, and a lot of times, you may not know this, but a lot of my guests are way bigger than I am. and getting them and be able to share their audiences is huge. So Restream, if you haven't checked that out, it's called Restream Pairs. I think it's on their pro plan, but you can find out more at socialmedianewslive.com/Restream. Grace, works for Restream, and so I got kind of early access, but it is amazing. What are your thoughts, Ian?
Oh yeah, I'm excited by Restream Pairs. I've been using it for a while now, and I think what I love about it is the way they've made it so easy. Because the problem is, I think we take it for granted sometimes with the technology, Jeff, don't we? We just like fiddle around with it and it just works. But when you have a guest on your show who's not technically minded, you want this to be really super simple, and it is. So as you just gave me the link, I clicked on it and I was able to schedule it to YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn very, very easily. And I could even change the description. So I just added a few little extra bits just so that people knew what this show was about, because obviously this show doesn't normally go out on my channels. And so, yeah, I think it's really exciting. A great way to increase your reach, because that has been potentially one of the problems that some of us have had, particularly when it comes to Facebook Live, has been maybe a decline in reach. But with this, I'm seeing an increase of reach across all those different channels now, which is exciting.
Yeah. So, if you haven't checked them out, make sure you go to socialmedianewslive.com/Restream, because they are, it's really, really cool. So, and Ecamm as well. So I've got some great comments from people. Like Gary was talking when we were talking about shopping, said it's a great potential revenue stream for 2022. And Randall is killing it over on Amazon Live. He talks about food and different foods over there. He also does it on LinkedIn. So he and his son are on there a lot. So if you haven't checked out Randall, he does a great job over on Amazon Live, and he's there quite a bit. So, let's see. And Sabrina brought up a great point. She goes, shout out to all the people who were at Lula Row Reps years ago who took the new Facebook Live and did live shopping with their clothes. They were pioneers. I remember that. And then Facebook kind of went after them for a while, and I think that was the wrong play, if I remember right. But yeah, they were doing some cool things about hacking it and doing it in comments and how to bid on stuff. So it was really, really cool. Let's see. Oh, Chad says, I know a new tool that's coming out. Yeah, Chad's talking about, I think it's the I haven't tested it yet, but isn't it? It's Waves coming out with a new platform too.
I wasn't sure whether we were allowed to talk about it. I've been keeping quiet.
Well,
Chad
he kind of let it out of the bag right there. I mean, that's pretty. That's kind of, I don't know what else to say about that. So, but I'm sure he'll talk about that more later. And Gary says he loves that Ecamm allows you to break out individual audio files, makes for better podcast edits. Yes, that is amazing. That's really, really handy. Because especially if you have like sound effects or something that's actually a different channel, and if you have a movie file that you play, that's actually broken out as well. So you don't, a lot of times for a podcast, you don't want to play, like I play a commercial here at the end of Ecamm, and I usually don't include that audio in my podcast, and so I don't have to even bring it in when I start editing. So very, very cool. So
and you can drop those four. So I have 4 files. So I've got my audio, my guest audio, video, and sound effects, and you can drop all 4 into Descript, and it just separates them all out. And then if your guest has a coughing fit halfway through, which sometimes happens,
right,
you can just remove that, and it's just amazing. I love that feature with Ecamm.
So one of the other things, let's see, this is a great question by Jim. He goes, Ian, is live video blessed with the danger of having one bad, boring show that loses audience that never returns? Or is it more resilient than that? Basically, he's asking if you lose the trust of your audience if you have a bad show or something doesn't work or that kind of stuff. What are your thoughts?
I think it's a great question. And this is, I think the audience should be more resilient than that, and the show should be more robust than that. But you might lose some people if you're having a particularly boring, bad show. Then maybe some people won't come back. What I would say is those people, if they didn't stick with you, they're probably not your ideal audience. And so I think if you're continuing to deliver value and you're being real and you're admitting your mistakes when you make mistakes, then I think you will keep people. One of the things that I want to focus on in 2022 is not just focus on a show like this. I'm going to do my own show every week, which gets repurposed into a podcast, and I absolutely see the value in that. But I love, for example, what Lou Mangello does, and he focuses on purely community building shows. And so one of the things that I want to do next year is also focus on that. And then that's a completely different type of thing. It's led not by you, it's led by your community asking questions and getting involved. And so I think, I don't know whether that answers your question, but I think for me, it's really about building and growing that community. And that can be done, yes, through valuable content and shows like this, but I think it can also be done by you investing in your community as well and making it more about them and not all about you.
So that's something that I have always tried to do. And Nancy, great to see you here. Nancy, she is watching over on Facebook, and that's the other thing cool about Ecamm. I can see their little avatar and know where they're coming from. But she goes, any communication medium has that possibility. People are busy, won't stick around unless the content creator has built a loyal audience. And one of the things why I love doing this show and why I couldn't go more than 1 week without doing one is because of the community. Like Sabrina is here, she's even talking to people in the comments going, hey, talking to Nancy, and other people are talking about how great Randall's show is over on Amazon Live. And so that's what's great is the community. And I've always argued, and that's why I love Ecamm so much, is that how easy it is to pull up comments on the screen. Like here's Gary talking to Randall and how great his brand is over on LinkedIn Live. So being able to pull in comments, my argument is, why do a live show if you're not talking to people and bringing up their comments? Then just make a show by yourself and upload it to YouTube. My thing is that I love to do, and even when you have bad guests or guests that didn't, say, perform as well as you wanted them to, if you are pulling in comments and trying to bring in questions from your audience into the show, people will stick around because they want to be able to ask. Like if I have Ian on, like they want to ask that question, like, hey, like Jim did, like, hey, is this what happens when you have a bad guest? Is people lose, the audience? Being able to do that, I think, is the big way to keep people coming back to your live show or your broadcast, is letting them know that they're going to be part of the show and letting them know that they're going to have their questions asked and hopefully answered. Does that make sense, I guess, Ian?
Makes perfect sense.
That's why I do it. Because I don't know what I'm doing, but my audience, they do. They can ask better questions than I get to ask. So,
but you should never, I mean, this is one thing that you've always said and I've taken from you, and you should never rely totally on your audience for those questions, because what if something goes wrong? Like what if it could be that the tech doesn't work and you don't have any live audience, or there's something happening in the world. So you need to make sure you have those questions in advance. But quite often I'll ditch my questions because my audience have better questions. So I think that's great. And I love, some people say to me, I don't know whether you get this too, Jeff, that you can't really properly repurpose a live show into a podcast, into a pre-record, into like a video for evergreen content, because it's the comments will get in the way and it will be too distracted. I disagree with that, because I think you do an amazing job, Jeff, at splitting up the show. So you will talk about a particular subject and then you'll look at the comments, and I think you can balance it really, really well. And often the audience will ask a much better question, and it's just more fun. And also people listening, if you're listening to the podcast now, hopefully this, you knowing that this is a live show and listening to the comments will make you want to join the live show sometime and be involved. So I think it's great.
I think you hit the nail on the head, and I think that's why I do. I mean, because I don't even take, some people say, well, just do the sections and leave out the questions you're pulling in. But a lot of, like you were saying, a lot of times they ask better questions than I do. And a lot of times I'll have a question that I was going to ask and somebody else phrased it way better. And so I'll pull in their question because I'm like, Nancy said that way better than I could. And so I agree, Nancy. She goes, see, Jeff, you're building community by showing comments, acknowledging people, being kind. I'll be kind to everybody except for Chad, who's watching in the audience. But other than that, no, I'm just teasing. Yeah, so he goes, people will come back to, even if you suck, happens to me all the time. No, you're a great host, Chad. He was on a couple of weeks ago for doing that. Yeah, and so Dustin says this too. He goes, doing a live show and not acknowledging people equals the poop emoji. So thank you for that, Dustin. Always keeping it real.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's, and community is all about, I think, where we have to go as live video producers. I mean, unless you're streaming games and then you can chat while you're doing games, but that's even community building if you break it down. So I think that's what it really is. The last piece of thing I want to mention that's really, I think, is kind of a game changer, at least for me, and both of the tools that we mentioned, like Restream and Ecamm, allow you to do this with this Stream Deck. So I would not be able to produce the show if I was just trying. You could do it with keyboard shortcuts, but using the Stream Deck, and if you don't know what it is, it's a programmable interface that you can assign for. You can sign it for if you're doing video editing, all sorts of different things. I actually have two of them side by side. There it is. Ian's got it. I'm going to pull you up full screen there, buddy. So his isn't on right now but all those you can change the screens. I can actually see in Ecamm, I can see the actual live camera feed being reflected in in those buttons, and so you know which button to press for which camera. So it is a game changer. I just hit the wrong button on my Stream Deck because I was so excited about it. But if you haven't checked that out, that's something I think that really, if you're nervous and trying to figure out how to switch cameras and you want to take your live video to the next level, that's one I think that has made a big difference in the past year for me. So anyway, okay. Fine. We got some more questions. Sorry. I want to make sure I get those before we go to the next section. Let's see. Mark goes, Jeff and Ian, do you feel that an overproduced, highly polished live show is likely to put off an audience off of, rather than engaging them, or is it down to manage expectations for the start? So hopefully you're not saying, Mark, that mine doesn't look very produced or polished, but I don't think, I think that if you're comparing to like a really produced show, like I don't know, Michael Hyatt's or like Luria Petrucci's, and you're going, I can't do that, I shouldn't go live, I don't think you should wait. I think you don't have to have all that stuff. I think you upgrade as you're going along. I don't think it goes either way. I mean, mine started pretty basic back in the day on Google Plus, and I've just slowly done things that I like, these moving backgrounds and stuff. I do it because I want to catch people's eye in the feed, and I do a lot of stuff on social media. It depends on your audience, I think. Yeah. What are your thoughts on this, Ian?
Yeah, well, I think you put the nail on the head there and saying you want to catch people's attention in the feed, and I think a professionally produced show will do that because there's a lot of low quality stuff out there, so that's important. But I kind of know where Mark's coming from. I felt this a little bit with Instagram stories, which I know are not live, but I went through Instagram stories and I found myself skipping through skipping over, not seeing them. And I looked back to see what I'd skipped over. And it was the ones that were kind of very much like sponsored ads, and they were very snazzy and professionally produced. And I wasn't interested in that. I was more interested in people's lives and it's something that was a bit more authentic. When it comes to live video, I think you can do both. I think you can produce something that's professional, that's well put together, but is also showing the real people. I know that you do this, Jeff, and I do this in my show. I try and turn up and just be myself. And that's what people want at the end of the day. I think the professionally produced stuff, the good audio is everything, in my opinion. I think if you have really good audio, that's even better. That's more important than the video. But ultimately, people want to connect with other human beings. And if you're not being yourself, then that is going to put people off. And perhaps, Mark, I don't know whether you've seen this. Maybe sometimes you've seen professionally produced shows and the host is kind of hiding behind that professionalism. That's not good. So yes, so basically what I would say is the professionalism of the show, the production value is only the cherry on top. It's what makes it even better. But if you're not being yourself, if you're not creating valuable content, then it doesn't matter how much professionalism you put on top of it. It's not going to be a very good show.
Yeah, totally agree. Chad has a great comment. He goes, he personally enjoys shows where comments are part of the show frequently. Sometimes when the producer is so focused on making sure the podcast will be okay later, the current audience feels neglected. I believe in repurposing, but not a fan of creating with the repurposing as the goal. Let the show be the show first, but that's just Chad. He also said earlier that he doesn't believe in quality. He enjoys British food. So, I mean, you got to take what Chad says with a grain of salt. But to the point of that is you also have to think, and I think that's true. I think people want to be engaged, and I'm with you, Ian, with the podcast stuff. But if you notice, like when Ian's talking, I'm switching, and I'm hitting buttons like doing this, bringing up different things, because I'm thinking of the repurposing later. But it doesn't distract from the show, but it also catches people's eye if they're scrolling through something on Facebook or YouTube or something, that I'm trying to have some movement to get people to do this. And the reason I do it is because I've tested it and this works better. The other thing is I did not do this when I first started out. If you guys would see how many buttons I'm pressing and how many things I'm doing, that's why I have Grace here a lot of time as the co-host, because she'll ask a question and we do this kind of tag teaming thing. So I can look ahead in the comments, I can get the titles ready. And so we kind of have this dance that we do during the live show. And that comes with practice. I mean, I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years back in Google Plus days. See, there's my Google Plus reference, Dustin. And, but I added stuff on. I did not start doing this level of production until way later. So that's what I want you guys to hear is if you're starting and you're wanting to do this for 2022, you don't have to have all the bells and whistles. You need a camera and a mic. That's it. And then you can go live and you can see results. So just saying. Yeah. Anyway, I hope that encouraged people to do that. So Dustin goes, deep take, Ian. So there you go. And Nancy says, yes, exactly. It takes practice. It does. And Nancy does video too, and she's a pro as well. So this next section, as we wrap things up, thank you guys so much for sticking with us this far. As always, I want to give a shout out to our amazing sponsors who we've talked about the entire day today is Ecamm. You can find out more about them at socialmedianewslive.com/Ecamm. I used them before they even sponsored the show. I've been a fan of them. Ian and I actually talked in their booth back at Social Media Marketing World, and we did an interview there, and there wasn't even sponsorship on the horizon, but I love these guys. They're amazing, and they have a great Facebook community as well. So if you haven't checked their community out, the Ecamm fam, make sure you just go to Facebook and do a search for Ecamm, and you'll find out where that community is. So do that. So Chad goes, I love what you do, Jeff. I've been a fan since I could only get your show on cassette. Yeah.
What about vinyl?
Yeah. 8-track maybe. So this last section, I want to talk about live video. What's coming up in 2022? We've teased some things earlier, what we think is going to happen, but I want to give you guys some stats once again that I got from Restream's blog. So make sure you guys check that out because they got a ton of great stuff over there. Streaming increased by 21% globally between quarters in 2020 and 2021. So it's going up. 44% of live streaming video viewers said they watch less TV as a result of streaming. This is a big one that I think is really, really key. 80% of consumers would rather watch a live video from a brand than read a blog. Let me say that again. 80% of consumers would rather watch a live video from a brand than read a blog. I think that's really, really interesting. And I think why not do both? And Ian and I have talked about that before. It's like we'll take our live video using the script and get that and create a blog post out of that. So why not give them both? With the technology we have and the tools that we have now, why not do both? But it's just really fascinating that people would rather watch a video than read a blog. 15% of people ages 18 to 34 watch live stream videos several times per day. They've been watching my daughter. 36% of enterprise streamers say their revenue has increased since they started live streaming their corporate events. That's one of the things that I want to talk about is hybrid events and a lot of streaming options being offered. Social Media Marketing World, for the first time ever, is doing live streamed, real live stream, like they're showing the people on stage, not just the recording of the presenters. So this is going to be the standard, I think, moving forward. So what are your thoughts?
It's interesting, the whole thing about more people wanting to watch a video rather than read a blog. And I think it kind of depends. Like for me, it depends on the situation. I will probably, first of all, if I'm in a hurry, I'll probably just want to watch a video and I'll just watch 1 or 2 minutes. But then when I want to go into more detail, I want to blog. I don't want to kind of like go through a video again. So this is why I think it's so important not just to focus on one format. I think focus on creating valuable content that you can have in a blog format, but also in a video format too. And so one of the things that I'm going to be focusing on next year is, yes, I want to grow my YouTube channel. I've said to myself, I'm going to commit to at least one YouTube video every single week. But I want to repurpose that into a blog post, because when I look back at actually what has driven the most traffic to my website, and it's actually given them the most impact in terms of my business, I'm afraid to say it's blogging. And I hate that, because blogging is hard work. But I think we need a combination or a strategy that encompasses all of those things, because some people will love live video. Some people don't love live video. They prefer to listen to a podcast. Some people prefer to watch a pre-recorded video. Some people prefer to read a blog. And so with all of these stats, I'm excited about the focus on video, and that excites me, because that's the kind of that's the format, that's the platform that I love to produce. But I think we need to be careful, and I think we do need to think about the other types as well.
Yeah, because Dustin wasn't happy about the thing. He didn't think, he thought that hurts a little bit. But he also said what people say, what they do isn't always the same. So I kind of maybe sort of agree on some of the stats. Yeah, I think a lot of times that's true. But I do think, just from looking at some behavior, that I can see why people would like to watch a video from a brand than read a blog. Maybe specifically for a brand, because a lot of the brand blogs that I've read are really, really boring and way too long. And so I don't think it's a hit against, because Dustin's a great blogger. I think that now with the technology, just like you were saying, Ian, why not we can do all the things relatively easily. And why don't we give the content to people in the format that they want to consume it in? So I thought what you said is really, really important.
And I think that the two can help each other. So about 5 years ago, I wrote a blog on how to broadcast to Facebook Live. It went insane. It's had over 6.5 million page views. And because that did so well, the YouTube video that I produced with it, which was embedded in there, has had loads of views as well. I think it's had, like, I don't know, 260,000 or something. It's not mega, but for me, with my very small YouTube channel, that was pretty amazing. And so I think creating content, the same content, but on different formats, or different mediums, I should say, I think is definitely works. And I think they can help each other. Yeah,
totally. So Nancy has a great point. She goes, she embeds some of her videos within the blog post and have it transcribed, and then she rewrites it in blog format, which, Nancy, have you tried Descript? Because I think you'd like it if you're not. So it's pretty amazing. So let's see. Jim goes, after 50 minutes, I feel compelled to buy something. How the heck did that happen? So that's what we're going for, Jim. No.
And you know, this is so funny, Jeff. Sorry to interrupt, but my assistant, Tonya, has just emailed me with a screenshot that her daughter took, and it's of us on an Amazon page. She was looking for a camera on Amazon, and our video is on it.
That's what. So,
it's so cool.
Kim Garst did the same thing. She was like, I was scrolling through and look, you're on there. So that's the amazing thing, is you do show up on product pages when we're talking about different things. So it's very, very cool. That's why Randall is so bullish on Amazon Live. So we're talking about shopping, and we talked about it all through this time. I thought that was the biggest thing that happened in the past year. I feel like it's almost getting back to the time where, when you were in the village market and you had to sit there and hawk your wares trying to get people to buy your stuff. I think that's what's going to happen. And I think that, other platforms are getting in the game. Pinterest has this live TV thing. They drive so much traffic and sales, especially for Black Friday. We just had, they have this live TV. It's for select people right now that are kind of doing these shows that are pretty famous already. I have a feeling it's going to open up more in 2022, because Pinterest does not want to lose out to Instagram and other places on live video. And I've also heard rumors that Instagram is going to open up its API, so hopefully we'll be eventually able to stream from our desktop to Instagram Live, which that will be a big deal. And I have a feeling they're going to do that because they do not want to lose. If TikTok's doing live video now, they do not want to lose out to that. And if they could add desktop publishing with Instagram Live, that would be a big boon to them. So I think that's going to happen. We'll see. What do you guys think in the comments? I think it's just going to be a game changer. What are your thoughts, Ian? Anything else that I missed?
I have to think. Yes, interesting about the Instagram thing. I'm not so sure. If you'd asked me 2 years ago, I would be totally for Instagram opening their API and allowing tools like Ecamm and Restream to broadcast to there. But now I'm not so sure, because one of the things about Instagram Live is it's a lot more real and authentic and raw, I think is the word. And I think there's something kind of special about that. I mean, to be quite honest, I don't tend to use a lot of live on Instagram. But if we then start to broadcast the same old things to Instagram, I'm not so sure. Anyway, it's something we'll have to look at. It's something that I've wanted to do in the past.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see. I think we definitely need to treat Instagram in a different way. I think we need to think about the platform that we stream to and the audience, the special audience that are on that, in a separate way. Not just because we can multi-stream doesn't mean we should, and definitely we shouldn't just do it without thinking. And so that's one of the things I think next year, as we go into next year, is being more intentional with the way we do things. I will be continuing to multi-stream, but I want to do it in just a more thoughtful way, not just going live everywhere, because that's kind of what I did in the past. I think live shopping is absolutely going to be the big thing. Everyone's talking about the metaverse and VR and AR and stuff. And a lot of people have been talking about AR and VR for years and years and years. And I know Mark Zuckerberg is talking about the metaverse, but I think 2022 is still too early for that. I know a lot of people have been buying the Oculus Quests. They've got those for Christmas. I think as live video creators, we need to be aware of these things. We need to be playing with things. 360 live video has been around actually for a while, but so I think we need to play with it. We need to be prepared that it will happen in the future, but I don't think 2022 is going to be the year for it.
So here's what I think about that. I'm going to push back a little bit about the metaverse, because I'm an Oculus fan. There are people now, and I'm coming at it from a community basis, where you can actually have, if you were on your Oculus and I was on my Oculus, it feels like you're right there with us. Workspaces is rolled out. I've tested that. I think people watching together stuff, like a lot of people gather together and watch like the SpaceX launches in VR, where they can gather together and watch cool, because they're all nerds anyway. We have these things strapped to our faces. It's really cool. It's a community thing. So I think it's going to start evolving in 2022. I don't think that we're going to have to worry about, as content creators, that we got to figure out and produce stuff in the metaverse. I think it's going to move that way in 2022. I think people may start watching our shows and content and YouTube stuff on the Oculus instead of watching it on a desktop or on their phones, if it plays the way that I kind of see it moving. I think AR, which is augmented reality, is going to be more widely adopted quicker than everyone getting a headset and plugging in on Ready Player One kind of thing. But I think it's going to move in that direction. I think where people are going to watch stuff. I watched entire movies on Oculus, because I couldn't go to a real movie theater. And so I think more people, as these are being sold and people are discovering, I can try to explain it to you, but until you put one on your face, you really don't understand. I mean, it's amazing. So we need to do a show on that. So anyway, a couple more things I want to talk about before we wrap up. We only have a couple minutes left. Short video is going to grow. Ian and I were having a discussion before this, with the rise of TikTok, YouTube Shorts, all this stuff. Are our live shows going to have to be shorter? I don't think, for community-based shows like hopefully this one, and I know like Lou's show, which goes a little over an hour and a half sometimes, it's not going to matter. But getting in new viewers to your show, will you have to create smaller, shorter content? Maybe. I don't know. I do know that storytelling skills are going to be more and more important. Learning how to tell stories in a shorter format, like TikTok videos, YouTube Shorts, that kind of stuff, to get people in the top of the funnel, I think is going to have to happen. Music live streaming is a huge new thing. Twitch is no longer like, I think their biggest channel now is just chatting. And then there's their music channel, which is really growing fast. Sports streaming. I think our local high school games are being streamed right now. We talked about VR and 4K. And I think live audio is sticking around to Twitter, audio rooms, spaces and stuff like that. I think are really good. There's I think Mark talked earlier that or some other, Ben was talking about how he's still bullish on audio and using that for podcasting and integrating how he can do live video with that as well. I think that's sticking around. Once again, we're talking about people who are consuming content where they feel most comfortable and putting it out in those places. Anything else, Ian, before we wrap things up?
I think that's it. I can't think of anything else. We've talked about the live shopping, the metaverse, AR, VR, and what else is there? I think right. That's it. But no, it's going to be. I'm excited about 2022. I think it's a year of transition. I think you're right about the metaverse and VR. I think it's going to be the year when things start to move. It's not going to be the big year. I think that will be maybe 2023, but we should start to get ready and start playing with these things. And I still haven't got my Oculus Quest. I did.
Oh, Ian, we should do it because we could watch movies. We could hang out.
I know.
We could, anyway, Ian, once again, you're amazing. I want to give a chance for you to tell everybody where they could find out about you, what you do, your courses. We've talked about live video. That's your specialty. Where can people find out more about all things Ian Anderson Gray?
Oh, well, thank you. Probably the best place is my website and my podcast. So that's iag.me or iag.me/podcast. That's the Confident Live Marketing Podcast. And I have a newsletter. So if you go to iag.me/newsletter, you can find out all about all the new stuff that I'm doing. And I have got an accelerator happening next year, which is called the Confident Live Accelerator. And this is going to help you launch or optimize your live video show and podcast. So I'm very excited about that. It's going to be over 5 weeks because quite often courses are like a week long or 2 weeks, and that's just not enough time to actually get things moving. So that's going to be my big thing next year.
Awesome. Everybody, thank you so much. Make sure you go check out Ian at iag.me. He has helped me out through the years so much. He's got great stuff. If you want to be more confident, if you like, okay, all this stuff that's happening on live video, I need to get my mind around that. He is the guy. He's got the courses. He's got the stuff. So go check him out at iag.me. Once again, thank you for everybody who's watching. Sabrina goes, I don't know you, but I'm feeling 22. That's how old I thought you were, Sabrina. That's really strange. But thank you, Randall, for showing up over on LinkedIn. Make sure you guys go check out Randall over on LinkedIn and Amazon Live as well. He has some great stuff. Martin, thank you so much for tuning in as well over at LinkedIn. You guys are awesome. Chad, thank you for all your comments today. It wouldn't be a fun show without you. And with that, we'll see you guys next year. Thank you so much. Love all you. Have a great one. Talk to you later. Bye now.
Bye.
You got us over here looking like a hot mess.
No, it's actually a powerful live streaming app for Mac called Ecamm Live. So you're able to use your mirrorless camera as a virtual webcam, and you can tweak the colors right in Ecamm Live using their camera effects, and then bring this video right into Zoom, Google Meet, and pretty much any other virtual meeting app. You can even stream directly to Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn and bring in comments right onto the video.